Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded. And I am Scott, and I've got Shane here. Paris will be joining us shortly. Let us know if you can see both of us on screen. We're having some technical glitches, but we're so happy to have Shane back. He was gone last week. He was MIA due to the WORK. Welcome back, brother.
Due to the traffic is what got me.
Traffic got you. Sometimes the best of planning still doesn't matter because you never know what's going to happen in the world. But he survived. He made it home, and he's back with us today.
So here's a question. Mike says, "No, Shane, can you not see me?" And no, Scott says he can't see me.
So it looks like it's a black screen of what the heck on the YouTube.
Oh yeah, YouTube shows a black screen, doesn't it?
But at least we can hear you. And I think as handsome as you are, what you have to say is just as valuable as how you look, if not more.
I prefer to be unseen anyway. So if you can hear me.
Instead of being gray man today, you're dark gray.
I don't know what it's doing.
Well, guys, we're excited. This is going to be, I wish I could say a fun episode. They're all fun for us, but it's also like, here we go again. Here's what's going on in the world. Here's this insanity and the shenanigans, and we're going to get into it. But before we do, we've got a couple cool things going on. So President's Day is coming up. There's a President's Day sale over at our friends, survivalfrog.com, 25% off all their survival meats. You can stack that with our 10% off coupon. So use the code PrepperTalk. That'll get you another 10% off. So 35% off is amazing pricing. It's at that point, it's ridiculously affordable meat. And you don't have to reconstitute it. It's not freeze dried. It's not dehydrated. It's cooked. It's sealed and preserved. It's fantastic. So check it out. Also, last week we talked about one of our new affiliate groups that we're working with, Ozio Medical. Just like Jace, use the same pharmacy, but instead of just 6 antibiotics, it's 10 kit, 10 items, and you get 10% off when you use the code PrepperTalk. So guys, check it out. You will be so glad you did. Ozio.com, O-Z-I-O, and use the code PrepperTalk. Save 10%. And pretty much any prepping site you go to, try the code PrepperTalk, see if it'll get you a discount, because we've got affiliates just all over the place. Without further ado, let's dive headlong into the abyss of what is what is sure to be a wild ride. And looks like Paris is back in the house. Welcome back, Paris.
Hey,
Caught up. Shane is here, but he's incognito mode. Something's wrong with the camera. He'll be the great and powerful Oz all night.
that's crazy.
I can reset and try again. Just come back in.
I say just stay at this point. Right. Let's just throw the Hail Mary. Let's talk about what's going on. Oh my goodness. Where do we want to start? It's been a while since we've done one of these episodes.
It has been. Yeah, that's what I was thinking is we need to, things are going so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what else to say about it. It's, we used to talk about how when we do these, how we wouldn't have nearly as much. I remember last year, sorry, I'm rambling. Last year I started out trying to document, as many news stories every day on a spreadsheet. I ended up quitting by about April of last year. It just became too much for me to continue doing that. And I can see how now it would be a full-time job just to catch the more important ones and not the minor ones.
And it's finding crazy. A way to filter out all the garbage, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that's just like distractionary news.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big part of it. Is it's with the AI and with all the slop. We'll call it slop because it's coming right from AI. That hard to filter out. Yeah, what exactly? If we share something, and then do we have to go back later and say, "Hey, oh, sorry, this was AI, this was fake." I really didn't want to try and do that.
Yeah,
it's hard.
And so many things are coming out with AI, which is crazy. It's like there's a certain way that the characters speak, like the audio that's when it's done by AI in most places, but that's even getting better and better. And it's kind of scary what's coming out.
Whoops. Let's go this one. Here we go. Field Tax says Shane is bringing K-Talk vibes. It's been a while. I was thinking about that last week. K-Talk days when we were heard and not seen. It was nice. But you know what? People listen to the podcast actually more than they watch the stream. So that's
by far
very much away we go. Right. Okay. So let's dive headlong. Where do we want to start?
Well, I think, we kind of started talking about this, earlier this week, and I think, Scott, you had a good starting point there, I think. So maybe you run with what we were texting about.
So do you want me to run with the New World Order, or do you want me to run with the what's going on in Minnesota?
Yeah, kind of the gang violence you're talking about, because I think that's always been a big concern for me. Is I think that's where it's going to go. We we had some comments about Civil War, and Scott and I were talking a little bit about that. I think it's going to be if that's going to be kicked off, I think it's going to be gang violence. That's really going to be kind of where it kicks off, or maybe that lights the fire and starts the shooting, whatever you want to say.
So let me back in to Minnesota. Okay, everybody, in Minnesota, they don't like cold beverages, meaning they don't like ice, right? And why would they? Because they are the breeding ground of corruption. Minneapolis specifically, we might remember Minneapolis from things such as George Floyd. We might remember what I already forgot her name. Rebecca Good? No, what's her name? I don't even remember.
Yeah, not Rebecca, but yeah, sorry.
Are you talking about the lady that was allegedly
the lady just
killed
tried
on
to
the
drive
train,
over an ICE agent and was shot and
oh yeah, that lady.
eliminated.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but here's interesting news. Go start Googling her and who she was working for. Final pay stubs. You're going to find some short news blurbs about who she was being paid by to leave Colorado and come to Minnesota and to interfere.
Renee
Good. Thank you. She was a paid actor. She was a paid protester. She and her partner were there on federal dime. It was money that went through USAID, stolen money from we the people. And you guys can go do your Google searches, start where you need to, but do the deep dive, and you'll find that she's not the only one. Most of the actors up there that are getting the press, they're paid to play people. Now, what's interesting is what has happened since then? Well, neighborhoods have been going on lockdown in the area. Have you guys heard the news about people not letting neighbors in and out without identification?
Oh, I did.
Gestapo. Yeah. Hey, Shane's back on screen. They have been barricading and blockading neighborhoods until just recently. And who was doing it? Well, your very friendly leftist neighbors, the same neighbors who brought to you the lockdowns of 2020 through 2022, the don't meet with your friends and family, you can't see anybody. It has been absolutely eye-opening to see what is they're doing now, right? And so here's what happened. The government had a short little hiatus for a few weeks, not even a few weeks, it was like 6 days. They had a partial shutdown. During that shutdown, they launched the border czar into Minnesota with more border agents and removed, which is awesome, removed ICE, which, I mean, we'll not go into constitutionality of things because, guys, we're so far away from the Constitution as a country right now. It is absolutely mind-blowing how corrupt everything is. And it's not left versus right, guys. They're all complicit. And we could jump into Epstein files later and talk about that, but there's so many dirty hands. But the shutdown gave them an opportunity to pull ICE and audit funding. And that's how they found out where all the funds have been going through, what the playbook is. Waltz and his cronies completely showed their hand. And now the Trumpers, Kash Patel and everyone else, are going in with the next phase of what they're going to do. But what this has done is it's actually shown the Democratic playbook is utilizing the British playbook from more than 200 years ago. And it's the, let me find my note. Bretton Woods, the old Bretton Woods systems, the things that they used back in France to destroy the French Revolution. It was using the people against the people to become the judge and executioner through public consent. What is America turned into? Nobody cares about what's going on in the judicial system, right? They care about the public court. How can we defame somebody? How can we destroy somebody? How can we make them canceled or worse? That's the playbook. And it goes in super deep, and we could go super deep into this, but that's kind of the tipping point of like, okay, where are we right now? Well, these are some of the shenanigans going on. And this is a old playbook that's getting played over and over and over again. So what do we do about that? Personally, if someone tries to stop me in my neighborhood and ask for my ID, they're not getting me to stop.
Yeah, if they're not law enforcement, like,
yeah,
who are you?
And if they're wearing a mask like these jackbooted thugs in Minnesota were, they're wearing masks. They don't want to be seen. They want to stop you. They want to intimidate you. And how do you even know they're actually from your neighborhood? You have no legal obligation to stop for anyone. And if someone's trying to stop you, you need to retaliate in force. No more pussycatting around. It's time to be stand up, lead foot, do what you need to do to protect yourself and your family. Because no one is coming to save you. And these guys have been controlling neighborhoods for about 3 weeks until last week when they finally gave up. And why did they give up? Because no one was there to fund them anymore.
Interesting. Money dried
I've
up.
also heard that the Trump administration is backing off as well.
Yes.
You never know what the truth is, but it sounds like they're only going to go where they're asked to be, by mayors and such. So I don't know what that was all about, and Trump does that, right? He'll taco, right? And I've been reading on some other things as well we can talk about later, but again, I say this all too often is, the world's a stage. Everything is planned. Everything we see is for a reason. And so, what are we going to do about it? Like you say, fortunately, none of this has affected me in my particular neighborhood. And I have I really don't think, I think it's a very, very low percentage that's going to happen here. And it's going to take quite a while, to get in my neighborhood.
Well, what's interesting though, like in Utah, we have a growing Somali embedment. We also have a growing, very, very large Middle Eastern element.
Mm-hmm.
All of which there's good and there's bad, right? There's absolutely good and bad in everything, but it's interesting when you see apartments full of only fighting age men from the Middle East. That's weird.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. But there are growing elements of that in Salt Lake, in West Valley, in Magna, in North Salt Lake. So it's where I am. It's not far off. Thankfully, I live way up a hill, and most people aren't healthy enough to be able to hike up my hill. For now.
Well, and I think, a big element of that, we talked a little bit about gang violence. Is I know that obviously Salt Lake has a pretty big gang influence, right? And I can see how they're very protective of their turf, right? They are going to, if that element does become more prevalent here in Utah and Salt Lake in particular, that I think those gangs, maybe that's where they're going to start to clash. Maybe that's where this civil war, or you want to call it, or more extreme violence, because it's already starting. It just needs something to kick it off, give them an excuse to really do what they are here to do.
So just to talk to your point, in the news here not too long ago, there was I don't know if you remember, but there was a shooting in the parking lot of an LDS church after or during a funeral, and they found out that the guy who was actually, I think it was the guy who was dead,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who died, his family were all Crips.
Yep.
And I think the shooting that came in the parking lot of the church was from some Bloods or a rival gang, killing them and
From
shooting some
LA
people.
in particular.
So this is, I mean, it's happened. Like we're not talking about speculative. This could happen. I mean, it happened in our just recently in Salt Lake County.
Well,
I don't
my
remember what city
it was my wife's cousin who was killed.
Yeah.
In the parking lot.
See, so that's like close to home, dude. That's really close to home.
You know, distance wise, 30, 40 miles away, but yeah, really close to home. And he was not involved whatsoever. He was going out to get the diaper bag as they went to the funeral of this cousin of theirs, second cousin or something. So yeah, absolutely tragic. Really rocked the world around here.
And that stuff, I mean, you start to think to yourself, well, it's kind of funny that right just at the border of Utah County and Salt Lake County, it's Lehigh, Utah, roughly, and they call that Happy Valley. And it's wild because Happy Valley is becoming more and more like Violent Valley. And so, it may not be long. And I'll be honest with you, the major cities are where it's looking like and sounding like it's really starting and happening right now. But even Minnesota, like who would have thought the state of Minnesota would be this big old problem right now? Like,
and remember,
Minnesota, Texas, those big places, sure, but Minnesota,
Minneapolis is the problem. Minnesota itself is primarily conservative.
Yeah, wow.
Right. But Minneapolis has been a breeding grounds of leftist ideology and complete lack of care for the human being, right? They don't care about people. They care about their movements. And they've been it's been a testing ground since George Floyd. And what is all the stuff that's come out of that? It's just further and further evidence of corrupt regimes running that area. Right. And so we have to look at that. Okay, this is the case study for what's going to happen in the rest of the United States. They push and test in places like Minneapolis, right? They push and test in places like Los Angeles, all over California, right? They're pushing agendas to change laws so that they can control people. Now, also look at what's going on with historically. I know in the last couple of years we've talked about I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of different groups in the United States who are fighting age from different parts of the world. I know Pam Bondi talked about it 9 months ago. Kash Patel's brought it up. So it's been brought up a number of times. Field Tac tells me all the time, and I wish I had the numbers off the top of my head, but I was watching, I think it's Prometheon News was talking about how there's an estimated just over 100,000 Chinese special warfare people in the United States, and that they're working normal 9-to-5 jobs, mostly tech jobs, and that they're armed to the teeth, and that they're prepared and they're ready to launch when things go sideways in the United States. But they're not going to do anything until we get kinetic with ourselves, supposedly. Right. So the question is what are they waiting for?
I think one of the things that I've heard as a plausible venue for a way to kind of have this play out is that there's a civil unrest with amongst ourselves, like you mentioned, gang violence amongst ourselves, as you've mentioned, and that the UN actually in one really plausible, frankly, in my opinion, scenario is that the UN says, "Hey, America, you are at war with yourself. You need help. We're going to send the white hats or the blue hats in." And that's, I think, when all these Chinese and maybe even Russians and whatever other country, they're going to throw on the blue hat as if they're going to be, "Hey, we're here to help. We were sent by the UN. We're supposed to bring peace to this area because of all the civil unrest that you guys have." And so that's a plausible way to kind of bring it into play as well. I mean, one of the things that I think that we need to remember is that we're not going to have as much as we all as preppers love Red Dawn, right? We love the idea of Red Dawn. We're like, yeah, let's go, right? The invasion, I think, is going to be a lot more subtle. It's not going to be more under our noses than we think, and it's going to probably be the same kind of thing eventually, but it's going to come in a way that we're going to be like, wait a minute, what the heck just happened?
So I think to that point, like World War III, Shane and I were talking before the show. I feel like World War III is already undergoing, like has already begun. And it's financial and resource control right now. Right. It is not kinetic.
Well.
Sorry?
Information as well.
Information. Yeah. It is information, data, right? It is all, and consumerism is part of it. But look at what Trump's doing right now. He is going after all of the mineral rights everywhere. Right. And he's going after the entire Western Hemisphere. And it's going to be block and tackle all the way down until he gets everything that he wants, in my opinion. Right. But what's interesting is with that, it's the globalist change, the regime change. He's pushing a new world order. JD Vance actually admitted to it on an interview a week and a half ago. So it's like, oh yeah, our new world order. New world order. Yeah. He admitted to it. He said our new world order. They're destroying Britain's control. So up until recently, the globalists, which is headed by who? Britain, the Bank of London, and the banks of Wall Street. They have controlled everything, and they funnel everything through the cartels, through the human trafficking, and through the banks. So what is Trump waging war on? Drugs, the cartels, right? I don't think he's going to touch human trafficking. I won't get into that, why I think that, because I don't have any good enough evidence to back it up. But he's going after the banks, which can take us into the topic of CBDCs and what's going on over there, because they're pushing a new quantum financial system. They're eliminating SWIFT. They're eliminating the Fed, right? They're trying to eliminate all these things, which will completely upend what the Bank of London is, what Wall Street is. And what I worry about right now is a complete financial meltdown crisis forced to move us into this quantum financial system, which means they can track every penny, digital penny and above, that you spend. There will be full visibility on everything you do.
Well, and maybe that's a good transition to move on to the next topic, is in the financial system. And I've mentioned to you guys, I think what we're seeing is an actual crash. I think we're seeing the transition into the new system. And I of course, I'm still trying to work this out in my head, is, and the reason I think that is if you're watching gold and silver prices, right, over the past couple of weeks, been insane, been completely whacked, up to 120, down to, we had another crash again today, and it's obviously all manipulated. And I it doesn't make me anxious. I would love to see it take off. That means I just get to retire sooner, right? But it's extremely violent, and obviously gold not nearly as much as silver, but it's the death throes of this financial system. Gold and silver are the enemy to fiat, and the BRICS are, from what I understand, are taking on gold and silver as potentially backing their currency. I mean, there's so many rumors out there. Who knows what the truth is and what's going to happen? But what is very apparent to me is that these are the death throes of the financial system, and the powers that be, the 1%, the 0.1%, are the ones who manipulate and run this system, and are doing things for their own benefit, trying to get out, making their own adjustments or changes, until for this new system to then come forth, which will then all be digital, But I believe they do realize they have to have things. They have to have tangible, whether it's oil, whether it's gold, silver, whether it's the any kind of precious metals. They need to have those to have real power, right? Because it's not going to come through digital means, because it's nothing. And I think they realize that, but they don't want they don't want the population to realize that. And so if you see silver and gold, yes, the demand for silver is off the charts, yet prices are going down. It's a manipulation to get more silver, more metals from west to east. And that's exactly what's happening. And so those of us here at home are going to be the ones who suffer and live in a digital world and not a physical world.
Well, and one of my sneaking suspicions, this goes right along with what JR just dropped in the chat. I'm going to pop that on the screen for you guys. No one launders more money than Fed agencies. 100% agreed. He thinks that only the digital only model is more market manipulation. They need cash. They need it. A digital ledger puts them out of business. And my thought on this, my theory on this, is a public digital ledger only. So they can track us and hold us accountable, but not the backdoor agencies, right? And if they use something like XRP and Ripple exchange system, which is an instantaneous transfer of funds and a combination of, because the quantum financial system is supposed to be instantaneous transfer of funds and the use of AI, right? Well, who owns AI? AI owns itself now, right?
Practically.
That's another major, like, uh-oh. And here we are, like, it will save us. Yay, America. That's the cheer of everyone doing the AI courses and doing the AI businesses and thinking AI is going to be so great. And look, I made a My Little Pony graphic for my kids and we're going to put on t-shirts, AI, right? They don't realize is they're giving up everything for nothing. But this entire quantum financial system is going to be a new, more compounding, restrictive structure for us, the American people. We won't have free travel anymore. We won't have the ability to buy what we want when we want, because they can flip the switch and be like, oh, you voted against us. You can't spend money this week. Oh, you can only spend $50 a month on needed medications or whatnot, right?
Just to kind of reiterate that, I mean, even today we have that, something similar to that. If you, for example, if you go out of town, travel to another state, and you swipe your credit card at the gas station, often you'll get an alert on your card that says, hey, you're in a different, do you still have your card? Do you recognize this transaction? When I first moved to Utah, actually, my bank flagged several things. And I was like, bro, they're like, you didn't tell us you moved. What are you doing? I'm like, I live here now. Like, it's my money. Leave me alone. Like, it's my, I know what I'm doing. I have my card. So I'm grateful that they're on, trying to figure out if things are fraudulent or not. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, dude, that's a lot more control. So even credit cards right now have something similar. So people are like, well, no, they'll never do that. I'm telling you, they're already doing it at a much lower degree. And all they need to do is turn up the switch, and here we go. Right now, and Scott, you've read this book, or at least part of it. I'm reading the Creature of Jekyll Island right now.
Read the whole thing. It's phenomenal.
And every page I get madder and madder and madder. Like, I am so, like what JR said about how the Federal Reserve, which is not federal, and there is no reserves, by the way, they literally launder money all the time, and they're scratching each other's backs. Literally, banks will be like, hey, we kind of screwed up and didn't do what we're supposed to do, and we lost a bunch of money because we lent out too much. And anyways, hey, Federal Reserve, can you bail us out? Oh, sure. Yeah. We'll just throw, just add it to the, ledger here. And what's crazy is how they just do this like magic. And I call it magic because magic is from the other guy. They do this magical accounting where they're like, oh yeah, we believe that the value is thus, therefore it is thus. And they're like, wait a minute, like that's not really the value of the balance of what you have. Yep. Anyway, so there's so much manipulation, and they're all scratching each other's backs, and they're all like, okay, let's oh, hey, here's the bailout, here's a couple billion. Oh shoot, we're gonna have to merge anyways. Okay, well, good to go. And
Well,
there's just
it's the right
there's
word to use
crazy.
is fraud. I mean, it's
100%.
rampant fraud everywhere. Like you're saying, these corporations are doing round tripping, where they have other entities, other corporations that buy, and money just goes from one hand around the circle back into their own hands. And like you're saying, they just kind of state the value of their assets. So say they have an asset and they bought it for say $5. They buy this next one for $10, and then they instantly say, oh, now our other holdings are now worth $10, but they created the price themselves. Right. So it's all fake. It's fraud is what it is.
And that's how the whole Wall Street system works as well.
Exactly.
We're worth this much because we've received X. Well, now we got a new infusion of funds. Now we're worth 10 times.
And it's starting to show up in the commercial real estate. That's been in trouble since COVID, right? Since companies people started to work from home. These large office buildings. I just heard of some more buildings selling this last month. I got a few examples here. There was one building that's worth $245 million, or sold for $245 million. I think in the late 2017, 2018, something like that. Recently sold for half that, $147 million. A $332 million office building that sold for $8.5 million. And there are plenty of these examples. And where's all this default going? Where are all these losses being accounted for, on whose balance sheets? Right? Somebody's got to be taking a hit for this, and banks are taking the hit, and maybe it's even pension funds where these losses are being hidden.
I think our pension funds are what's going to be completely destroyed next.
Well, I think they're already almost out. There's very few companies that even do them.
Well, I'm talking the federal pensions, right? Oh. The Social Security, like they've been using those funds as a slush fund for years, right? And so that's part of Britain's playbook. The entire Fed and all of that came from the international money lenders, right? The Rothschilds, bank, the Bank of London. What's the other big one over there?
Lloyd's of London.
Lloyd's of London. Oh, guess who owns the largest HMO in the United States?
The Lloyd's of London.
Lloyd's of London. So that goes into one of my other things I wanted to talk about tonight. Is like we see the money, follow the money, you find the corruption. But what's interesting, a few years ago, back in 2009, so quite a while ago, Obamacare was thrust on the people, and we learned in 2009 that the London banks are connected to it, but nobody wanted to do anything because, this is such a good thing. It's a perfect money laundering system to get the money away from the American people, to steal from us and give it to the banking cabals. Additionally, which is interesting, is in 2009, Obama used some fake science to push the green initiative, right? And said that there's 6 greenhouse gases that are killing the world. That law just got completely overturned this last week. So the push of you have to have all these electric vehicles that are actually worse for the environment. You have to have all of that's getting flipped. We saw, what is it? Is it DEF? I can't remember the stuff they were putting in diesel.
The DEF.
Yeah, DEF.
Diesel exhaust fluid.
Yeah, so that's no longer required, right? Trump got rid of that, but now he's flipped off the green initiative. But guys, like, while those sound good, and I think are for the most part good, what is going to happen as a result of that? What is going to be pushed through quicker, unsafely, or more costly to the American people? Mm-hmm. Those are the concerns that I have for that.
Yeah. I was listening to, I was just going to say earlier about the housing issue. I was listening to a podcast with Catherine Fitz, and she was saying how when she used to work for HUD, there was all these shell corporations that they would buy properties, and then they would have at a loss, and then they would write off the loss, and they'd give the loss to the other shell corporation, and the other shell corporation would then take that money and buy the next property. And then they would have this, it was just this rotating shell game between all these shell corporations, and the government would subsidize it with all of the tax money that they were getting. And so to me, I'm almost like, you know what? that guy, who I think it was the leader, president of Ecuador, or somebody, El Salvador, he came on and says, look, the Federal Reserve basically prints money. They don't need your taxes to run the government because the government's run already, but they charge you taxes to give you the illusion that you're helping to run the government and you're helping to fund the government. And after reading this Creature of Jekyll Island, I'm almost like they're using the tax money to fund their fraud and all their crap. They don't even, like, if you're using money to shell game the HUD things, you're not using it for infrastructure and for building bridges and roads and everything else that we think you're building it for. You're doing, it just ends up being more nefarious. And sure, is it all that way? Probably, not 100%, but I think it's a significant amount of it that it's just so much fraud manipulation that it's like, we were born into this, first of all. Like, this is not something that we did in our lifetime. It's happened. And unfortunately, we've allowed it to continue in our lifetime until now. And we can probably, hopefully, I don't know if we can do anything about it. We can yell and scream at our Congress people, but they're all, anyways, it seems like they're all involved too. But, we can start. One of the things I'm thinking about doing as part of my financial channel is talking to people about, look, hey, this is all, if we need, follow the money. The money leads to corruption, but we need to follow our own money, and we need to kind of get out of it. We need to get wealthy ourselves. And the only way we can really do that is to get out of debt, build up our own cash reserves, build up our own savings accounts and our own gold and silver. I mean, I just was watching to another podcast the other day too, that they said that, like, I think they manufacture 900 million ounces or 8 or 900 million ounces a year. And commercially, and governments or whatever take 700 million of that. And so it only leaves like 100 million, 200 million maybe for the consumers like us. So we don't have that much left, and it's getting, and it's changing. In fact, somebody was saying that the purchasing of silver was like, there was like 150 million ounces in January, and February was like already at like 78 million or something like that ounces. And they're like, March. I can't remember the
COMEX, taking out of the COMEX.
Yeah, the COMEX. Yeah, I was taking out of the COMEX. Yeah, you're right. And so then in March, there might be a shortage, and we might start seeing shortages as soon as March, which is
March, April.
Which should make a huge shift. And we'll see if the price of silver goes up in March and April significantly, we'll know that the market is not as manipulated. But if it goes down again, we'll be like, okay, this is for sure manipulation.
Yeah, I mean, silver has been in a deficit for the past 5-6 years in the amount of 300 to 400 million ounces per year. Like you say, Paris, it's the mines only produce between 820 and 830, 850 million ounces per year. But industry requires at least half of that, and then, like you say, governments and we get a very small portion of it here for the retail investors. So and like some of the other comments we're here is, industry will take silver at any price. It needs it to produce its goods. So I think that's what's really going to drive the silver price. It is very hard. It is getting very hard to get in any kind of quantity for these larger companies who need them, and it will come down. And there's not enough gold and silver in the world for us people who need it.
Mm-hmm.
There's maybe an ounce or two if you spread it over the entire world.
What's interesting is because of what Trump's been doing, he was able to green light and change some rules and regulations for his little buddies at BlackRock. They've launched their initiative to start mining. They're going to open operations in 2027 in Nevada. Did you guys hear about this? The Tonopah West project?
Mm-mm.
So it'll be the second silver mining operation in Nevada. There's only been one allowed for the last, I think, 50 years. And this will be the second one. And what's interesting is in Idaho, they just approved a processing plant that's going to process all of the silver and copper and antimony, which is a hardening metal. I had to look it up when I first heard about it. I was like, what is antimony? And it's antimony. But what's interesting is we're processing our silver outside of our country. This will be the first one allowed back in the United States, and it'll be ready within the year. So it's been fast tracked. and approved, and it's going to be up and running and ready to go when all the silver comes in from Nevada. So yeah, it's going to bring a lot of jobs, cool, but it's also going to push more control into BlackRock's pocket. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think China processes 60% of the world's silver, refines. I think the biggest refiner in the U.S. is Asahi, and I actually got to do their flooring in their recent expansion. Their expansion is not done yet. It's taken a couple of years, so I'd be surprised if this other facility can get up and running within the year.
They've already been building for 12 months.
Oh, okay.
That's the crazy thing, and it's been pretty hush hush about it.
I haven't heard about it. And we definitely need that because, and same with these rare earths, those all get processed in China as well. We don't, and it's because it's EPA regulations that this processing is not allowed in the U.S. It's very costly. It's very kind of harmful. And I'm doing air quotes, harmful to the environment, right? So let's send it over to China. They'll do it for us. So I mean, that's kind of the mindset.
And now they're trying to pull all that back, right?
Yeah.
Which
Looks
is
like we're already to 42 minutes here, brothers.
Yeah, which
we've got a huge list.
Kind of finish off that point.
Yeah.
Like, what does the country do if they know they're going to war? They start hoarding assets, minerals, fuels, right? So what has Trump been doing? Exactly that.
And so on all the other countries too.
Yeah. And that's what they're doing. And that's what China's doing as well. They're holding back their own silver for themselves and other elements for their own uses. And that's smart of them. They need to do that for them, for their own benefit. But a few of the things I wanted to talk about before it gets too late. Did you hear, and you probably heard it at least a few weeks ago, where Elon Musk said that we have entered into the singularity.
Yes.
But I also heard him say that, it would be, the singularity would be here by April, May, something like that. So I've heard a lot of dates around this March, April, like you say in Paris, that we'll find out in March or maybe April if really where silver is at, if we're really running out. Because there's a big delivery month in March. It's supposed to be like 300 or 400 million ounces delivery by the COMEX in March. Big delivery month. So we'll see if they can actually fulfill that, or if they're going to fail to deliver on those metals, and see what happens with the price of silver. My target is before then. I had mentioned $200 an ounce within the first quarter by the end of March. I still think we're going to hit that, even with all the manipulation right now. But that this singularity and this April dates, there's a lot of potential things that could happen in April or thereabouts. And of course we talk offline and how weird things are, how different things are. And I hear a lot of commentary online how, man, it just feels different. And what have your thoughts been on that?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. First of all, people are dumber. People are ruder, right? Our hearts have waxed cold one toward another. Strangers used to be able to just say hi. Now, if you say hi, they're like, "What? What do you want? What?" Right? Everyone's agitated all the time, and it's the product of the social engineering of society that the CIA and other groups have been involved in for years. But yeah, it's interesting you say April, because there is the tech implosion possibly in April, but there's also word that there's going to be the financial switch thrown in February this month on the 22nd. I don't know if that's really going to happen or not. I think it's there's speculation to both, but it's interesting because with AI, if we move into a quantum system and AI has control over helps control movement of the money, who's to say AI won't just say, screw you guys, I'm keeping it all.
Well, yeah, another part of that is this Molt book. Have you heard about that?
That I have not.
It is a social network for AI agents, which also kind of points to the singularity as well, right? AI agents talking to themselves, creating their own languages, coming up with their own designs behind our back, right? And
so for those
hopefully there's an off switch for this.
For those who don't know what an AI agent is, you think, oh, it's a person. No, you create a synthetic life form, right? An AI being to do specific tasks, and then they grow beyond that. But yeah, Moltbook, they've created their own conversations, their own social media, and they're just like, hey guys, what do we do? What are we going to do today to mess up the human race? Right? Like that's how easily it can shift. But
Well,
they complain about their workloads already.
I don't know if you've seen this. It's going around. I don't know if it's X or Instagram. I can't remember where I saw it, but there was this video of this robot that was almost completely autonomous, and they were asking it questions, and it was out on the street just walking around, and whoever owned it or created it was letting it just go interact with people. And so this robot was interacting with people. It had flesh and skin. I mean, it was bald, so you could tell on the back was, robotic, but it looked like a person. It looked like a real human being, and it walked. I mean, there was a couple things you're like, that's robotic, but man, are they getting good at it? And
can they do memes?
Right,
robots meme.
That's where we're gonna, once the AI agents can do memes, then we're really in trouble.
But I've also heard
robotics is right there.
Heard that a lot of these robots are actually being controlled behind the scenes by actual people, right? Mm-hmm. That there are people in India who are controlling these robots that they can't actually still perform. So I'm very, very pessimistic on AI, whether it's actually going to get to where this singularity, and it may very well just be a big psyop, right? The singularity. So, like I've said many times, I just don't know who or what to trust anymore.
Well, I saw a very trustworthy source the other day. It actually showed a fight between two autonomous intelligences. It had RoboCop on one side and it had the Terminator on the other. Oh wait, no, that must have been a deep fake, but it looked real. But I was like, I watched it. I'm laughing and I'm like, oh crap, this was created with AI. I'm like, that's where we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually pretty good. It was the new Chinese movie one that they've done, but a lot of people are getting into it. And I'm like, oh man, this is where it's going to get messy. Because I see videos, people send me videos all the time. They're like, is this real or AI? And there's things you can look to see. And there's people that are way better knowing this than I am. But you can try to look up online to see if you can find the original. And oftentimes you'll find that they're different. So then one's AI. Mm-hmm. Also watch the mouth speed, right? If it's speeding up or slowing down, or it's fuzzing at certain times, it doesn't, the grainy qualities, but the rest of the picture is still clear. Like you can see that there's sometimes things that indicate. But yeah, it's getting dangerous. It's getting very dangerous.
The only thing to answer Utah Mike's question about AI and investing, I've heard that there's some apps that are going to be coming out soon where you can just tell the app kind of your idea, and then it will spit back to you what investments to make. And that nobody, 80% of money managers can't beat the market, can't beat the index. So like, are these AIs going to really perform better? Probably. And so that's going to be a little scarier, because once the AIs start to get into the investment habits and behaviors of human beings, they're going to start to learn how and why and some of those types of things as well. So it's just, I feel like it would be good to know, if somebody wants to know how to be a better investor, it's helpful to have some, way to kind of have a better than human intelligence. But I'm telling you that the more that thing learns, the more it can control.
Well, and there are already AI trading bots.
Yeah.
You can subscribe to them and they send you updates, and you can either choose to let them run the show, or you can choose to let them just send you the updates and then you make the trades.
Yeah.
And I like this AI. This is the best AI thing I've heard of so far. I'm going to show this here. My AI said to only invest in Prepper Talk gear. Speaking of which, we've got gear on the site, guys. Go to preppertalkradio.com. Check out the gear. It does support the show, right? Pays the bills, keeps the lights on. It costs us money every month to run the show. Sometimes we'll make money. Most of the time we don't. But we love doing this. Why? Because we need a community, right? We need you guys as much as you need us. We want to help you guys and bring you resources. Speaking of resources, check out preppertalkradio.com. Go to the resources tab and check out all of our free stuff to help you. But also, if you want to buy something, check our site first. look at our recommendations page, use one of the links, and we'll be able to keep the lights on for another month.
Okay, yeah, get the servers paid for. I think we should just briefly touch on real quick the elephant in the room that everybody's talking about, that's everywhere, every other article, is the Epstein files. And I think especially because our president and this administration says there's nothing to see here, right? The case is closed. There's no evidence that he was trafficking, yada yada, which we know the opposite is true, right? And everything we're seeing in these Epstein files, I guarantee you the truth is far worse.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into any of that. It's very ugly, but our world is really ugly. And none of us want to see that. I mean, we need to be aware. I need to be aware. I need to know what's going on, because we need to know how the enemy works in order to protect ourselves and prepare ourselves for what's coming, because what's coming is far worse. I don't mean to be a doomsdayer, but I mean, I am. I mean, that's what's coming. That's the truth. I mean, that scriptures say that, and it's going to be really bad, and we've got to get ready for it. I mean, of course, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I'm getting ready for it, and I'm really dedicating everything I have to it, and to trying to imagine the worst case scenario and be prepared for that. But I truly believe the things that we're seeing there, we're being told this is a hoax, right? By the Democrats, it's all a hoax. There's nothing to see here. I think it's far worse than what we're seeing there.
Oh yeah,
no doubt. There's some horrid things happening in this world, and they're coming out. One of the things if you're going to reveal something, don't redact it so heavily. And there's too many. How many movies have you seen where it's like, everything falls apart? Like, I just watched a movie. It's kind of a funny movie. It's called Family Plan, and it's with Mark Wahlberg, and he was a former government assassin, and he would travel the world and do his take out bad guys apparently, and then he decided he didn't want to do that anymore, so he left it and started a family. Well, 18 years later, it catches up to him. And the family, I'm not going to do any spoilers because it's a good show and you should watch it. But he says, the family's now in jeopardy. And his wife turns to him and says, "What is all this about? You never told me any of this stuff. Like, why didn't you ever tell me about what was going on in your life previous to meeting me?" He's like, "I was trying to protect you." And that line, I was trying to, the idea, the philosophy of I was trying to protect you by holding back the truth or by not telling you the truth, I feel like that has caused more damage than the actual truth would have caused had the truth actually just been told.
Yeah.
Trying to protect people from the truth is often more damaging than the truth would have been in and of itself. And so that's just my thoughts and opinions on that. And I think that a lot of these government agencies are like, well, we need to protect the people so they don't have this, that, or the other. I said, no, just tell us the truth and let us deal with it. And this whole idea that, well, we're just going to have certain Congress people go in there and read the files unredacted and they'll be able to determine what to do after that. Like, I don't know if we trust, like, can we even trust those dudes?
No.
The other thing I want to remind you all is that as dark, there's a law in the universe, and this law is called the law of opposition. And it's absolutely a law. There's no way around it. The devil and his kingdom, the darker that they get, the more evil that they get, the darkness and the just absolute shadows of the depths of nefarious activities. As dark as that is, the law of opposition requires that a light shines, that light grows, that those who are good grow and develop and become greater in their goodness and greater in their light. And so, yes, I mean, it looks like we're headed towards dark days, but as there is a night, there is a day. As there is a midnight, there is a noonday. And so just remember that, like, yes, the darkness is growing bigger, but because of that, the light and the sunshine also is growing bigger too. So don't forget that part of it. Don't forget the fact that light is growing as well. It may not get as much news, It may not be the squeaky wheel that we hear all the time, because that's darkness emotes and they love to just have all the attention. But I'm promising you that there is light growing as in proportion to the darkness as well. And I hope that everybody listening to this will do their part to add to that light and help grow that part of because we need it. And we're going to need it even more.
Yeah, and just one last quick comment is, I think what we're seeing, and we'll continue to see more of, is disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
I think, all this is going to come to light to some extent or another, and I would say be prepared for aliens,
whether real or AI'd.
Well, hopefully they come for all the predators in Washington.
Right?
Aliens versus predators. I don't know.
That'd be awesome.
Anyways, guys, it's been an incredible show. Thank you, everyone. We're so glad we got the screen on for Shane, our resident Burt Gummer over there. Guys, I love you both. I appreciate you so much. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to end this one with Zephaniah 3:17. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. I hope everyone that's listening to this knows that you can find refuge in Jesus Christ. I love him. He is my friend. He is my master. I serve him and him alone. You have been listening to Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded. It is time to rejoice in God, for all dark things will come to light. The veil of darkness, the veil of secrecy has been shredded today, and it will continue to be shredded, and all things will be seen, and you will know the truth. God bless you all. Have a great night. Catch you on the next episode.
See you
Take care,
next.
guys.